Guys, we got something to talk about here. It's been 6 years since my last tutorial. But life happens, and I'm just glad to be back now. I think that's a video for another time. Talk about all the adventures I've had in the last 6 years. It's been a crazy journey. But anyway, so what I want to talk about today is something pretty important for especially for beginners and people that are just starting to make music, which is structure and how to lay out your music in a way that makes people want to DJ it, right? It makes it easier for people to fit it into their sets. And I can say from personal experience, whenever a track is laid out in a way that's easy to mix it, you're making, that's half the battle, making the job easy for other people to mix your music so they want to play it out, right? And basically why this is important is because, like, for instance, at the beginning, when I first started doing music, I had some crazy intros. Just listen back if you can find some old stuff. Like, I had songs that had 2-second intros just straight into the drop. Because I didn't know, like, I wasn't a DJ, I was a producer first, right? So I was just making these crazy things, and it's creative. And if you're making music just for listening, you can do whatever the hell you want, But if you're trying to make music that's DJable and you want people to play your music, it just helps to make it easy for other people to be able to slide it right into record box and be able to transition with it and everything. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. And I've definitely had some tracks I've gotten where the layout's a little weird, or there's some crazy tempo switches all in the same little section, and it just makes it kind of a headache to figure out how to transition it with another song. And when it's like that, it really makes you not want to DJ it. Can't speak for everyone, but that's just my personal experience. Anyway, I have this original project pulled up. I've got it in FL20 right now. This is the original project file that we used for the tutorial. Let's just dive right back in for a listen real quick. All right. So yeah, it's a little outdated. Looked like there was some missing files here, so I had to refine them, put them in there. So what would I do with this? This is from 6 years ago, so obviously everything's from the sounds of the drums a little outdated, or a lot outdated, I would say. All right, well, let's get some what we're gonna do is just put some better sounds in real quick, and then we can start talking about structure. So let's just do something quick. I've got my official sample pack pulled up right here. Wow, look at that. That's very convenient. Yeah, I put out an official sample pack a while ago. It's got some drums from Hench, from my Summon the Dead EP. A lot of good drums and sounds in here. And I'll pull it up on the screen so you guys can see that stuff. Here's some one shots. Some cool sounds. Anyway, let's pull in a drum loop. It's a good sort of rhythm. And I'm just doing this because I want to do this fast. I think what I will do, this will kind of just to have a cohesive end to that series I was doing with the processing and massive and all that stuff. I'll finish this out with the structure and maybe a little mastering, and then I'd like to start a whole new thing with serum sound design and stuff like that too. But we're going to take these drums out of here, and yeah, we could probably get rid of these sounds too. We don't need any of this stuff actually. We got the drum loop in here. Wonder if we can just slide it into one of these mixer channels already. I'm just gonna put this in a new channel. Control L is to link it, and just puts it in the channel for you, which is a good tip if you don't know. Let's just throw some OTT on the drums. Take it down quite a bit. I don't like that much time. All right, it sounds nice and punchy. Now let's open up. I've got Serum here. I'm actually going to pull some sounds from this preset pack I'm working on. This is not out yet, but I want to put it out probably within the next month or two. Some cool sounds in here. That's a good one. That's a pretty simple little rhythm. We could use that because we've got the rhythm drums going. think I used this one in Too Loud, which is a pretty dope one. Ooh, actually, I'm gonna clone this because I think we do want that little siren to put in the background. Kind of like a Hesh sound. Dope. Ooh. Sheesh. That's pretty cool, but let's try a different sound. Let's just do that. I like this sort of trappy long. And just go into some simple rhythm stuff. We'll just fucking throw that in there, screw it. Let's just see, alright, screw it, it's good enough, right? We're just using this as an example. So, say that's your drop you have or whatever. Let's take that and copy, paste, Control V, Control A is to select it all. And so this is how I lay it out. My ideal amount of bars, and this is at 140, by the way, is right here. So as you zoom out this way, you can kind of see the color, how it's like gray, darker, little sections. So for these blocks right here, that's usually the intro amount I like to have. And it's kind of confusing because people use different ways to describe that. Some people use like measures, like a musical sense. Some people will say bars, like this would be 4 bars, or blocks, or whatever you want to call it. But you can see it goes up to it goes 16 full bars, right? And then on the 17th one is where the drop would start. So for me, that's the ideal amount of time for me to mix like dubstep. Some people do half that, some people do twice as much. Like, it just depends on the type of song you have. I'll give you an example. Like my song Termination, that has this amount of intro right here. So I got Termination loaded in here. Let me turn off the okay, there's no master plugins. So you can see here, this is my intro I got, right? And then obviously the drop. So just take a listen, maybe by listening to it. Or if you pull up songs, like you should, if you're not familiar with how many bars you should be waiting for an intro for like for DJ transitions, just pull up some of your favorite songs and listen to how they have it structured, like how that's basically what I did in the beginning. So listen to this. So that was like a full phrase, and then it repeats. And repeats 2 more times. Usually it starts building up right here. So a lot of times a snare or something will be hitting already.
Termination. Impressive.
Still a banger. I remember Subtronics, Jesse's always telling me that he had this as his ringtone for the longest time. Yeah, so this would be the ideal length. The only time I would do a longer one is if you want something that you can gradually mix in. And there's basically 2 main ways I like to do this, where you basically just have the a short build up like this where it goes right into the drop, and then you have like a little pre-drop vocal, you know. I think you heard you talking shit, but this ain't what the fuck you want, you know, or whatever. You got a little pre-drop vocal, and so people will just mix into it quickly and can use the pre-drop and just right into the track. Or the other way to do it, making a intro that you, instead of going straight into the drop, you'd go into this little melodic phase. So let me just show you an example of both of those real quick. Let's actually get, like, see if we can get some atmosphere or something. will work. It'll be fine. Get a riser. It's actually a pretty dope one. Oh yeah, so cymbals are a good thing to put in here as well. Let's get like a ride. Actually, even just open hat would be good. It's like that. And then here's what the buildup would come in, right? Pre-drop vocal. So that's basically how I do a quick intro. Like if you listen to one of my recent tracks, Arrogance, off the No Rivals EP, that's like the length of intro I did. And that's kind of like the not messing around, just trying to get, nothing too crazy, too fancy. If you want to do a melody or something a little crazier, I'll show you how I would do that too. All right, so I'm going to see if I can create just like a quick melody real quick. Nothing fancy. Okay, so this is what I would do if I want to do like a sort of melodic intro. Start out usually probably filtering something like this in. And then coming in with the drums here, actually. So I'm basically gonna, let's just put this in the mixer channel real quick. Control L once again. Throw OTT on it. And we'll just filter it in. There's actually a cool filter I just found recently. Where is it? Filter. Yeah, this thing's just like the filter on a mixer, like a Nexus 900 mixer. So we'll use it like that, and then we'll just automate it so that it slowly unfilters like that. And then maybe even lower, actually. Then have this go up. We're just, yeah, I just wanted this up. All right, so like that. And then once we go to the build-up, instead of just repeating the same thing, you can try cutting the melody, like stripping back the melody a little bit, something a little more basic as it builds up, like this. Perfect transition with absolutely in key. Let me see if I can actually. What is this in? D. We can. See if that'll help at all. I have to do the same thing with the sub though. So still not the best, but it's a little better than it was before. And that's something too, when you're doing your drop, if you don't know a lot of music theory stuff, like, I don't really, I learned some of it in college, but I don't really, some of it's above my head. Just look at what note you're in. So we're in D here, and then you go to whatever your melody is. If you're doing chords, just start in D, and usually, they'll do it. If you want to learn more musical stuff, there's better people out there for that. I'm just doing the basics here, okay? So, yeah, that's how I would do a melody. You got your little filter in, and this would technically give you a little time to transition. Like I said, I'd prefer to have like this amount of time here, like kind of that like about 20 seconds to mix in, but this is fine too. I do this a lot with tracks where you just have a filter in, go into a melody, and this is where you would be mixing in the track, or this is where you would transition. You would mix right here, and then you're like ending a song, and you bring this one in, and that would just play through the little melody part that you have, and then go into its own build-up. Now for the drop itself, I've been keeping a lot like this lately. This is very common, where the drop goes essentially repeats twice. So just like how the intro was the 4 blocks here, and when I say blocks, I mean like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, gray black, like 4 blocks like that. It's basically the intro twice for a drop is what I do, and then go into another build up, which is very common. But you can be as creative as you want with it, obviously, but just the ultimate goal here is to make it clear where the drop is and where there's a build up, so people know when to start queuing up the next track and whatnot. So yeah, and you'll see people like, especially some of the rhythm tracks and rhythm artists, the drops sometimes will be a lot longer, sometimes double this right here. And that makes it kind of easy to double, like, so the track doesn't end too suddenly, and you can, double and triple stuff and whatnot. But it's all about what you want to do creatively, but I'm just telling you what I usually do. So basically take a drop like that, and like you would obviously, on the second part, there's usually like a variation, like there's the first drop part, and then in the second part, there's like a variation. And then at the end of that, you can go into another buildup, or you can basically just go back. You could do a little outro thing where it's just like this right here. So I would say the 3 things are: go into another buildup after your initial drop to do like a sort of, a lot of people will have that where it's like the first drop, small little buildup, and then another like part A, drop B. You know what I mean? Like the 2 drops really close to each other. Then later in the track, the same thing. And that's what I've been doing a lot lately, because it's real easy to, and it's fun too. But you could also, number 2 would be putting like a little outro thing like this to mix out of. And you can filter in the melody to go back into that as well, which is a good option. And then the last thing is literally just to repeat the same thing, which a lot of people do as well. Just up to you, whatever you want to do. So for example, just go right back to the intro, or you could do a variation of it. And so yeah, and sorry it's not super organized. I'm still working with that project file from 2016 or whatever. But just by looking at it like this is if you wanted a melodic intro, filter in melodic part, build up right here. Here's drop and just a variation. And then this would be taken and all, it's the same thing, but this can be another build up here into another drop, or like I said, it could be like a little drum outro or whatever you want to do, and then kind of repeat the same steps. Anyway, I hope that gave you guys a little bit of insight on how to structure your guys' tracks and whatnot. I know it wasn't anything mind-blowing stuff like that, but that's just a sort of I think it's a good explanation for people who are just starting out, because I had to kind of be sat down, be like, look, this is how you should organize your tracks to make it so we can DJ the shit, right? Which shout out Dorian from Abducted Records. He was actually the one that did that. I think it was my track Bustin' Skulls way back in the day. This is before Firepower, before all Never Say Die, before all that. But yeah, I had a really weird intro, a weird number of bars and stuff, and he just kind of told me like, look, if you make it this amount, like it's gonna be a lot easier to work with. And yeah, I followed that advice, and the rest is history. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I think I'm going to do mastering and mixing next, which is kind of a tough subject because that's something you develop over time. Like naturally, you get better and better. But I can kind of give you, like I always do, just my insight and some general tips and stuff, and hopefully that'll help you guys. But yeah, if you're excited that I'm doing tutorials again and I want to be more active, like I like it. I'm doing it because I enjoy it and I wanted to start it up again. I like interacting with my fans and stuff. And so, yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. Hope you guys like it. Leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.